Okay guys, IELTS listening part 3, matching. Once again we have matching, right? So this time you can see options are long and lengthy and all that. Now tell me one thing. Let's read the question first. Questions 25 to 30. What comment do the students make about the development of each of the following items of sporting equipment? So please underline what comment students make development of each of the following item of sporting equipment. For example, how cricket bat was made, how racket was made, how table tennis racket was made. So they are going to talk about items of sporting equipment. What are the items of sporting equipment? Bat, ball, racket, baseball bat, and helmet. Exactly. So these are just, and they've given the names of them, right? Now 25 to 30, these are the items of sporting equipment. Found them? Okay. And A to H comments about the development of equipment. Now will you read the questions or comments? Obviously comments, because questions are 25 table tennis bat, 26 cricket helmet. You don't get anything, and they will speak about them directly in the audio one by one. Now please, let's get down to the main business. Option A, could cause excessive sweating. Underline excessive sweating. Very, very simple. Okay, any of these sporting equipment could cause excessive sweating. What is sweating? Pasina aana. For example, if they say helmet पहन के बहुत ज़्यादा पसीना आ जाता था, right? Cricket helmet पहन के बहुत ज़्यादा पसीना आ जाता, something like that. So it could cause excessive sweating. Sweat is the word. Like you say, hey, why are you sweating? Or I am sweating. Perspiration is not the right word. We use the word sweating commonly. Option B, material was being mass produced for another purpose. Material was being mass produced for another purpose, and then they started making sporting equipment with that material. For example, they talk about rubber or they talk about wood. They were producing it for another purpose, and then they realized they could make bats with that wood. Option C, people often needed to make their own. Now one sporting item people had to make on their own, कि अपना खुद बनाना पड़ता था. Anything, table tennis bat, cricket helmet, cycle helmet, golf club, hockey stick, football. कि अपने घर से hockey stick बना के लाओ. Something like that. People had to make on their own. Option D, often had to be replaced. Replaced means it could break after 1 or 2 games, or people had to change it after every game, or in a new game they had to bring one new or anything like that. So it often had to be replaced. And by the way, what do they mean by it? It means items of sporting equipment. Okay. Next, material was expensive. Very simple. They will say it was very expensive, costly, it cost a lot of money, they had to spend a fortune, right? Anything like that. Option F, it was unpopular among spectators. Like spectators didn't like it. For example, they had a cricket bat and spectators didn't like that. So the people who watched, spectators, they didn't like it. Option G, caused injuries. They made something and it caused injuries. For example, they say it injured the hands of the cricketer. They made certain bats which caused injury to the hand of the cricketers. So it caused means item of sporting equipment. And finally, no one using it liked it at first. At first, people didn't like it, but later on, they just liked it. Now, what are the items? Table tennis bat. Right? Now let's see what do they say. Table tennis, we've got the racket, I think. But in the old times, they used to have bats, table tennis bats. So, let's see.
So, Gian, have you thought of any ideas for the discussion session next week on technology and sport?
We have to cover more than one sport, don't we?
Yeah.
You know, we always think technology is about the future, but we could gather some ideas about past developments in sport.
Look at early types of equipment, perhaps. I remember reading something about table tennis bats once, how they ended up being covered with pimpled rubber.
'Cause they were just wooden at first, I'd imagine.
Yeah. In about the 1920s, a factory was making rolls of the rubber in bulk for something like horse harnesses.
Really?
Yeah. And someone realised that it would make a perfect covering for the wooden bats.
B. Material was being mass produced for another purpose. What was other purpose? Horses something. And mass produced they were making in large quantities. And what was the material? Rubber. So the correct answer for 25 is B. Very good. Let's go on. Question number 26, cricket helmet. You can repeat it. Okay, I'll share the audio. 26, cricket helmet.
So, what about cricket? That's had a few innovative changes. Maybe the pads they wear on their legs?
I don't think they've changed much, but I'm just looking on the internet. And it says that when the first cricket helmet came in 1978, the Australian batsman who first wore it was booed and jeered by people watching because it was so ugly.
Wow! Players have to protect themselves from getting hurt.
Okay.
I mean, everyone wears one
Jeered
now.
by people who were watching. It was unpopular among spectators. For unpopular, they use the word jeered, and spectators, people who were watching. So F is the right answer for 26. I play this again. I can see question mark. I told you in section part 3 there'll be pin drop silence. Shanti. Okay? Yeah, not the Shanti who's the neighbor. Yeah.
So, what about cricket? That's had a few innovative changes. Maybe the pads they wear on their legs?
I don't think they've changed much, but I'm just looking on the internet. And it says that when the first cricket helmet came in 1978, the Australian batsman who first wore it was booed and jeered by people watching.
Okay, was booed and jeered by people. Booed is like boo, boo, like that. Okay, and jeered means mazak udana. By people who were watching. Listen again from this part.
In 1978, the Australian batsman who first wore it was booed and jeered by people watching because...
Okay, jeered by people watching. So that is option F. It was unpopular among spectators. Let's go on. Question number 27. Cycle helmet.
Unlike the cycle helmet.
Well, unless you're a professional. But you're right, many ordinary bikers don't wear a helmet.
Hey, look at these pictures of original helmet designs. This one looks like an upside-down bowl.
Yet the woman's laughing. She's so proud to be wearing it.
It says serious cyclists ended up with wet hair from all the hard exercise.
I guess that's why they have large air vents in them now, so that the skin can breathe more easily.
Okay, so we've...
Wet hair. A. It could cause excessive sweating. Now for excessive sweating, they use the word wet hair. Now you can argue पानी से भी तो बाल गीले किए जा सकते हैं, right? But then they use the word, now there are some holes in it for their skin to breathe and all that. So correct answer for 27 is A. Let's go on. Question number 28. Golf club.
What about golf balls? Or better still, golf clubs. They've changed a lot.
Yeah, I remember my great-grandfather telling me that because a club was made entirely of wood, it would easily break and players had to get another.
There's no wood at all in them now, is there?
No, they're much more powerful.
Okay, golf club made of wood and they would break. Option D, it often had to be replaced. Now, what is the wording that they used for replaced? They would often break. Exactly. When something breaks, you have to replace it.
What about golf balls? Or better still, golf clubs. They've changed a lot.
Yeah, I remember my great-grandfather telling me that because a club was made entirely of wood, it would easily break and players had to get another.
Players had to get another. What is that? It often had to be replaced. Had to be replaced, players had to get another. Question number 29. Hockey stick. Let's see what do they say about hockey stick.
The same must be true of hockey sticks.
I don't think so, because players still use wooden sticks today. What it does say here, though, is that when the game started, you had to produce a stick yourself.
I guess they just weren't being manufactured.
You had to produce the stick yourself. Option C, people often needed to make their own. Okay, you had to produce the stick yourself. That is C. People often need it to make their own. So C is the right answer. Is this clear? All right, I play this one again.
The same must be true of hockey sticks.
I don't think so, because players still use wooden sticks today. What it does say here, though, is that when the game started, you had to produce a stick yourself.
I guess they just weren't being manufactured.
Okay, you had to. For you, they use the word people, right? Question number 30, football. Let's see, what do they say about football? And there are mostly more options than the questions, okay?
So, one more perhaps? What about football?
Well, I know the first balls were made of animal skin.
Yeah, they covered them with pieces of leather that were stitched together. But the balls let in water when it rained.
Oh, that would have made them much heavier.
That's right. You can imagine the damage to players' necks when the ball was headed.
Oh, how painful that must have been.
How
Yeah.
painful that must have been. Understand now? See, you just need to pick up some words from there. Their head and painful, so it caused injuries. Option G is the right answer. All right.